Welcome you all. And I hope you know that this session is now going to be about. Any idea? Strategy on what? On economics. No, it's not economics. This is what I wanted to start with. It's Indian economy. So there is one thing fundamental that you have to understand. And in fact, the entire conversation, because look, let me first tell you what is the objective of these sessions. There are obviously two objectives. One is to tell you how to approach in each of the subjects of GS, so that you got a better clarity that what to read, what to avoid, kind of. And second is to provide you comprehensive strategy, right? Now, why I said so? Because look, one of the common mistakes most of the students do, those who are preparing seriously and actually putting their efforts into this examination, that they keep thinking that this is an academic pursuit. It's not. It's not an academic pursuit. It is not something where you have to read a number of books and have to accumulate so much of information. In fact, it's not history, it's not geography, it's not political science, it is not economics. It's relationship with the India as whole. So when we talk about Indian economy, why I said so? Because if you say economics is a full-fledged subject, right? There are a number of theories and number of statistics and so that they're not asking. What they're asking is whether you're knowing about the Indian economy or not, basic terminologies of the Indian economy or not, whether you are knowing that what kind of shape Indian economy is taking, what are challenges and opportunities before Indian economy, and so on and so forth. That's why, in fact, if I could put my case in different way, I often start my conversation with this example, so that you got some clarity about UPSC also. One of the common mistakes we often do. Now you tell me, if I request you one thing, I hope my language is comprehensible. It's easy to understand, because look, we are talking through language and we can talk in any of the language, that's not important. As it is supposed to be in English, so we are talking that way. If you somewhere feel that it could be English, perfectly all right, not a problem. Now, if I ask you one thing, that do one thing, that I need a cook at my home. I need a cook at my home. Please do recruit a cook for me. I'm trying to tell you something with this example. So I'm requesting you that मेरा छोटा सा काम है, that do recruit a cook for me for my home. You said, sir, no problem, it will be done. You gave an advertisement in the newspaper, a cook needed. On this particular day, there will be a paper, and those who are writing paper will be shortlisted, and some of them will be interviewed, and finally the job will be given. Perfectly all right, right? Now you design the paper. You design the paper, and the question was, write about ladyfinger. Write about ladyfinger. And now Mr. A is writing. The botanical name of ladyfinger is so-and-so. The floral formula of ladyfinger is so-and-so. All the botany of the ladyfinger. Will you recruit this fellow? Will you recruit? No. Why? Come on, he knows this much of botany. My God, all botanical formula, floral diagram, and what not. This much of botany is doing, and you're not recruiting. Why? Because you need a cook. You don't want a botanist. If you are not doing mistake, what do you think UPSC will be doing? If we needed academician, we would have said we want PhDs. They don't want academician. So why doing this mistake? Questions will remain same, but answer will be different. I hope you can compare now. Had we wanted academician, we would have said at least PhD is mandatory, at least MPhil is mandatory, MA is mandatory, whatever. We are to saying take any optional of your choice. We are least bothered whether you have read it earlier or not. Read it now and answer me. Because that's not. If we are not doing this small mistake, how such a meticulous organization can do? UPSC is definitely one of the most methodical and meticulous organization. Because have you ever thought this way also? We are having corruption in our country, we cannot deny it. How UPSC is so honest? That means they are very methodical. Otherwise, they would have been corrupt. The answer is same if I said to talk about metro. We don't believe in cleanliness that much outside, but how metro is so clean? Because we have developed those kind of institutions where cleanliness is solicited. That's why inside metro it's clean, outside it is not. UPSC is honest because they have developed some very systematic methods of recruitment, isn't it? And such a methodical organization will do this kind of silly mistake. If we wanted academician, we would have said you should be at least postgraduate. The average age of selection is still below 25. Most of the candidates who are getting selected in top 100, they are mostly below 25, 26. 23, 24, 22, 22 to 26 is the average bandwidth. That means it is not about knowledge. It's about something else. So Mr. A wrote this way, that this ladyfinger's botanical name is so and so, and when he is not getting selected, what he will do? Oh my God, it seems I missed one more book. He will buy another book of botany and will read that book also, and next time we'll go with that Jeel. This is what most of the students are doing, and blaming UPSC and their fate, not understanding that for which purpose this examination is. What is UPSC? They are seeking bureaucrats. And who are bureaucrats? Simply putting, managers for government, if I have to simplify. The same work what manager does to people, to organization, is what UPSC, you are manager for this is what is called bureaucracy. In very simple word, bureaucracy is what? Managers to the government. They are working as manager to the government, and that's why rather than academic skills, you should have that managerial skills. Now Mr. A wrote this way, and these are the people who had made this examination difficult in their explanation. Look, the people outside, all those giving gyan, they are those people. And someone 22 years old getting selected, not at least bothered about it, not giving any gyan at all. Ki karna kya hai? Isn't it? And these people, they say very difficult, obviously, because we are going in the wrong direction, so it's bound to be difficult. It's bound to be difficult. Achha, Mr. B is writing that ladyfinger could be cooked this way, ladyfinger in dry this could be cooked this way, in gravy it could be cooked this way, on chulha we can make this way, on in oven we can make this way. A or B, whom you will recruit? B, obviously B. And then Mr. C is there writing, ladyfinger can be cooked in gravy this way, in dry this way, in oven this way, in chulha this way. These people should take ladyfinger because it is good in these vitamins and minerals. These people must avoid ladyfinger because it might be detrimental to their health and so and so. These are the climates where ladyfinger can be grown easily, and these are the climates where it will be very, very difficult to grow. A, B, C. Whom you will pick? There's one seat only. C, B, C. That's my advice to you. B or C में क्या फर्क आया फिर? What was the difference between B and C? A though is outrightly rejected, and they are the crowd outside giving example. UPSC is very difficult. You have to do Sirsashan and God knows what. Not understanding, they are at fault. The actual competition is between B and C. Why you liked C over B? Because C was multi-dimensional. was multidimensional, was understanding various facets of the reality. Making sense? Like if I ask you why these classrooms are made possible, I don't know whether you're knowing it or not. I'm sure by now you might be aware of it that GS got 4 papers. Why only 4 papers? Why not 2? Why not 6? Why not 8? Why not 5? Why not 3? There must be some reason. In fact, there's a very famous theory. But again, we are not here for that thing. If you tell me, if I ask you what are those factors which made this classroom possible, the classroom where we are discussing, हम जो बात कर रहे हैं, what are those factors which made this classroom possible? I'm saying factors myself. That means there are more than one. What are those factors which made this classroom possible? So the common answer will be, somebody will talk about infrastructure. There has to be some infrastructure where you can sit, where we can talk. Isn't some political dimension also, some management, that when the class will be, where it will be, who will be taking, and these kind of things? Isn't there a financial angle into it? I had come all the way for the financial angle, to be honest. And isn't there ethical way also? The moment you came to know he's the teacher, how your orientation suddenly changed. Still, Indian classrooms are the best classroom to teach, let me tell you. Our ethical dimension, cultural dimension is playing a role. Every reality is bound to have 4 facets. Something structural, something political, something economic, something ethical, cultural. Not a surprise, your GS is having 4 papers. First paper is structural, second paper is political, third paper is economic, fourth paper is ethical, cultural. It's not just coincidence. Those who are so methodical, even now there's a 5th dimension also coming up, environment. Because now everything, environment is playing an important role. So whenever the next change will be, you will see that there is a separate paper for environment. It's very natural, because this is now pressing need. Environment, the way climate change is happening, the way things are happening, in everything we have to consider now environment. Now, considering this, when these people are so methodical, what do you expect? They will be asking random things? No. In fact, today's session is actually focusing upon that. I want to give you some clarity, at least about economy part, that what you should be considering, what should be do's and don'ts, where you should be focusing, what thing you should be avoiding. So the focus is on do's and don'ts primarily. What you have to focus, what you have to avoid, what are the dimensions, and so on and so forth. So if you see Indian economy and its interaction with the world, this is probably going to be the topic then. So the topic is Indian economy and its interaction with the world. It's not economics per se. It's not economics per se. It is Indian economy and its interaction. So it does not mean you have to mug up books of economics. You have to mug up the theories of economics. On the contrary, simply, you have to keep an eye that what is happening in Indian economy, where we stand, where we can go, and needless to say, in that case, how you can understand anything. You need to know some basic terminologies, like you should be knowing what is GDP, you should be knowing what exactly balance of payment is, you should be knowing how banking system works, you should be knowing that how this entire financial system is arranged. So they're assuming, they're expecting that you should be knowing some basic terms and terminologies. And then you should be also aware of the developments which are taking place in the economic arena, along with what is called what a government approach is, what are major policies and programs. So actually this is what they're expecting from you, that that can be called as Indian economy is in interaction with the rest of the world. Fine. So first thing first, you have to understand it is not economics per se. Am I making sense? Now, if I talk about the weightage, in fact, this examination has happened, prelims result has come out. Even last year's prelims exam was considered to be very difficult. But interesting part was that even those students, the student said after the exam also, okay, sir, so economics was something which saved us. Because in UPSC, still, the questions of economy are kept simple to, you can say, to medium, not very difficult. Barely there's a question which is very difficult. Reason being because in India, वैसे भी you can see that people are not having much of economic awareness. This is very surprising report, but FICCI, FICCI, you might have heard here and there, FICCI is an organization. FICCI conducted study few years back. In India, only 27% people, just 27% people were having awareness about economic things. When it was asked to them, do you understand budget? Do you understand repo rate? Do you understand public finance? Do you understand GDP? Even parliamentarian, 90% of the parliamentarian could not explain what is GDP. And don't trust me, go and outside, ask out of 10, probably 7 cannot. That what is GDP? In a country where this is the level of awareness, what do you expect? I have to keep questions simple and straightforward. That's the reason why economics come as forte. जो भी लोग select होते हैं जिनका पीटी वो सब आपको कहते मिलेंगे economics is a savior. If there are 14-15 questions, you easily can think of 11-12. 10-11-12 is possible. Out of 14, I won't say one can do all 14 questions, but 10-12 can be managed. And if you manage 10-12 questions, trust me, you are in safe hands. So weightage is that, like this year there were 14 questions, and out of 14 questions, 2 questions can be considered difficult. Like there was one question on US Fed Treasury and one question was on foreign banks. These questions can be considered difficult. Rest were very simple, straightforward, right from NCERT kind of. So out of these 15-20, if you are, let's say 15 questions has been asked, and if you are doing some 10 question, I hope you're knowing that last year 38 net was selected in mains, in prelims examination. 38 out of 100, if your net 38 were right, you were in the list. 77 was the cutoff. Even this year, though final key is yet to come from the UPSC side, but whatever inputs we got from the students, those who got selected in writing mains, it is not more than 85. That means if you got 45 to 50 questions net right, your job is done. That means out of 15, if you are doing 10-11 question, you have covered almost 1/4 of the journey. Take this thing seriously, therefore. Covering almost 1/4 of the journey. So your approach should be in prelims. There are that's why I prefer to call them are low-hanging fruits. You know what mistakes most of the students do, especially the good students. Those who are not studying, उनकी तो मैं बात नहीं कर रहा, but those who are good students, you have to identify those low-hanging fruits first. I have seen students, they have just done 67 question and net was 47 right. Even any year in UPSC prelims, there will be some 35 to 40 questions, very basic from NCERT. Those questions should not be wrong. If you're doing those questions wrong in the light of these fancy questions, which even Google cannot tell you right, just for information, this year, there were 7 questions even ChatGPT could not answer. 7 questions. ChatGPT was coming with mixed answers. That's not a surprise. Institutions were having mixed answers for that. They are not determining. Determinant are those basic things. Like there's a question, do you know PLO is a fixed capital? Match the following. PLO is a fixed capital. Computer is a fixed capital. There's a definition called fixed capital, working capital kind of. So these basic things should not be wrong. And that's why your focus should be getting conceptual clarity by understanding from NCERT. And you will see that out of 15, you are easily sitting at 9-10 questions which you can do along with the current affairs, right? Then that's why I had given this to you. In fact, this will be uploaded. Those who are listening online also, this will be uploaded after the session so that you can take it for the further reference. In fact, including terminologies, out of 15, 7-8 will be terminologies, basic terms, whether you're knowing this or not. That agriculture produces service industry or not, mining is what, these dairy is a primary activity. This was asked this year. I don't think it's a very difficult question to answer. So these things should not be wrong. So half of the questions are terminologies and half might be revolving around current affairs. What is happening? Like India has introduced central bank digital currency. So there was a question on central bank digital currency, whether you are knowing how it operates or not. So this is how we can say out of 15 in prelims. That's why you might have heard people saying that you cannot qualify prelims without economics, polity, and these kind of core subjects. The reason being because They are increasing your chances if you have done their conceptually. You have made them conceptually right and the job is done. In mains examination, the paper 3 of GS, which is about economy, half of the questions are from Indian economy. Rest half from science and technology and IR, internal security. So almost out of 20, 10 questions, 9, 10 questions belong to economy. Again, makes a very good deal. And that's why those who are in top 100, generally in paper 2 and paper 3, they score better instead of paper 1, because paper 1 is very open ended, the entire geography, entire history, entire society, so it's very open ended. Paper 2 and paper 3 is where you can actually, where the syllabus is defined, it is easy to work. And again, in the mains, there are some topics like agriculture, industry, infrastructure, energy. There are some predictable topics every year. Every year, at least 2, 3 questions are bound to come from those topics. These 5, 6 topics like agriculture, like industry, like infrastructure. In infrastructure, say railway, road. Look how we are working on railway, how we are working on road, ports, aviation, these kind of things. So that makes economics again a better deal. Now, in fact, you often see that there could be an essay also of socio-economic nature, like poverty, unemployment, growth, inclusive growth. These kind of things also can be answered, but I am not claiming this. At least these two things out of it in paper 3 of GS, if there are say 10 questions, or if say the question of 120 marks asked, if you are getting 60, 70 in that, it's a good score. Just for information, out of 250, 150 is considered to be a very good score. Out of total, if you got 50%, you would be topper of the examination. I know this is a bit difficult to digest, because you have been trained on 98%, 99%. Abhi quite ka result aane wala, we have to wait and watch. Kirolimal started planning now, 99.8 in most of the subjects. So here 50% means topper. And the last selected candidate in general category, if you see last 2, 3 years, if I have to say, the average was hovering around some 40%, 39%. This is the final score. So it's not something to run pillar to post, but be precise and focused, that these things should not be wrong. That's why I say Indian economy could be very useful there. So this is the weightage. I hope I'm making sense. So first thing first, you have to understand, it's not academic pursuit that you are getting everything about economics, from Keynes to contemporary game theory. It's not that way. You have to get basic clarity from NCERTs and what is happening around you in economic activities. Weightage is clear. Now, with the discussions from the students, those who got selected, those who could not, क्योंकि दोनों ही inputs important है ना, those who got selected उनका भी और those who missed it उनका भी. I have identified that there are major 5 concerns students are having. There are some odd 5 concerns students are having regarding Indian economy. I'll talk about that quickly, because I know time is going short now and you might be now a little fed up also, might be tired now. So first thing first, what should be the syllabus for prelims and mains? Because UPSC has given 1-line syllabus, that socio-economic development of the country, but obviously it needs some further clarification. In mains, they had given topics like agriculture, infrastructure, energy, inclusive growth separately. But what should be the overall topic? That is the concern. Second concern is from where to read. What should be the source? Third is how to handle current affairs of economy, because obviously a lot of activities are taking place in economy. What about notes, and should we answer the previous question paper or not? The relevance of, because obviously these questions are not going to be exactly repeated, so should we doing it or not? These are the 5 concerns. Whatever, if I had been asked 1,000+ questions by the student, what could be the concern, they can be reduced to these 5. So there are 5 major concerns. I'll talk each of them quickly. As per syllabus is concerned, look, I had put the topics here so that it will easier. One of the common things that they're doing every time, that whether you're knowing basic terms, terminologies related to economics or not. Like just they ask fixed capital, that whether you're knowing fixed capital or not. What is fixed capital, what is working capital. They've asked terminologies like law of demand, law of supply, whether you're knowing it basic or not. Whether if the prices are going, if the prices are high, demand will reduce. So what will happen to other things, means these kind of basic terminologies they ask. They want to know whether you're knowing basic terms and terminologies. From where you can get it? The best sources, NCERT class 12th, macroeconomics. Economy has two branches, macro and micro. NCERT class 12th, macroeconomics. It's, in fact, please don't take NCERTs lightly. Never take NCERTs lightly. Why? NCERTs are written for kids, not by kids. They're the best of the economist India can offer you. NCERT का नाम जरा देखिएगा. Maybe some of your professors are also there. From D school to others. So NCERT is written for kids, not by kids. Wonderfully designed. आप एनसीईआरटी का ठीक से, जो लोग एनसीईआरटी नहीं पढ़ते हैं सिर्फ वही एनसीईआरटी की बुराई करेंगे. Because if you read NCERT at this age, you understand the book is very meticulous, very properly designed. So most of the terminology you can get from NCERT, especially macroeconomics. That is of more significance for you. Then they're asking question about national growth, whether you're understanding attributes like GDP, what is GDP constant, GDP current, how it has been calculated, what is GVA, you might be listening in newspaper, GVA, GDP, basic terms, and in fact all these things are there in the newspaper also. In fact, good part is, there's one newspaper, Indian Express, in that there's one section called Explained. It's a wonderful resource, where let's say GDP. Whenever there is a news on GDP, they will give you exact detail. What is GDP? What is constant price? What is current price? Why it is done? What is base year? Like this year, most likely after the budget, we are keeping fingers crossed because it has been already delayed. Maybe the base year will be changed because some indications are coming from concerned ministry called MOSPI that they may change base year. So if base year is being changed, UPSC has asked the question when the base year was changed. So what exactly GDP is, how it is calculated, basic things, not going much in detail, but basic thing you should be aware of. What exactly are types of it. Then what about planning? What is role of Niti Aayog, 5-year planning and various dimensions and these kind of things. So planning and associated issues. Obviously 5-year plans are gone, but then even at least how it works, what has been the concerns into it. Then this section, money and banking. In fact, as you had come all the way to listen to me, this session should be fruitful to you. If you see in prelims examination, from this basic concept, at least 1 to 2 question. Mains examination, 1 question, and from this national income. Prelims, 1 or 2 question might be asked. Planning and associate, good for mains. Money and banking, this is the topic. Alone gives you at least 4 or 5 questions in prelims. So if anyone comes to me before 15 days of prelims, mailing me or calling me कि सर मैंने तो इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ा नहीं, अब क्या करें, 15 दिन बाद prelims है, तो ऐसे भाई ये टॉपिक तो पढ़ ही लो, you will increase your chances. So money and banking, even this year, you got odd 5 questions. So 4 to 5 questions from money and banking, where you should be knowing how RBI, what is monetary policy, what are like there was a question on foreign banks because there was a news coming of one of the Chinese bank coming and operating in India. So, money and banking, what exactly cooperative banks, what about commercial banks, types of banks, their roles, NBFCs, and these kind of things. So, money and banking. Then fiscal policy and budget. This talks about government approach, that from where the government is getting taxes, revenues, how they're spending money. So, again, this topic, money and banking and fiscal policy, these 2 topics together will give you at least 6-7 questions in prelims. Even this year there was no exception. And in mains, this topic is very important. Fiscal policy and national income and planning, these 3 topics will give you short question in mains. Then inflation and related index, that whatever inflation is, how it works, what are the dimensions of it, what is WPI, what is CPI, IIP, how it is calculated, who calculates it, these kind of things they are asking. Then stock market, obviously stock market not much, and in the classrooms also we won't discuss this much so that you will become investor. Investments are subject to market risks. But then even at least some idea that how it works, what are the dimensions, like these days you can say stock market is frothing. We can say it's frothing. This is called frothing. That suddenly we can say there's euphoria in the market, and it's very unusual. A kind of bubble has been created in the stock market, so that even SEBI head has to come and say कि retail investors should refrain. ये market natural नहीं है जिस तरह से दिख रहा है इस समय. So आपको पता होना चाहिए क्या चल रहा है, क्या, how the things are, what is Sensex, कैसे काम करता है. In fact, so if you see, again I'll say basic concept, very important from prelims. National income, both prelims and mains. Planning, more for mains. Money and banking, very, very, very important for prelims. Fiscal policy, both prelims and mains. Inflation, mostly for prelims. Stock market for prelims. Similarly, there could be sectoral analysis also. There could be analysis of various sectors. In the sectoral analysis, we have one thing called agriculture economics. That what is the scenario with agriculture economics, and the related dimensions. Again, this topic is very important from mains point of view. At least 2 questions in mains for sure. Like they have asked, what is the role of integrated agriculture? I don't know whether they're doing it or not. These days we are witnessing integrated agriculture. They're doing agriculture and some other kind of activities also. That's called integrated. In fact, way back, you might have heard of one leader called Ram Manohar Lohia. He said way back, ek bigha khet, ek gaay, apni kheti, apni rai. If you really want independence, give them livestock also. Because if they are only dependent on agriculture, that will not be good. So they've asked questions on that nature. What is role of food processing? How much you pay for uncle chips? 20 rupees. Not even 20 paisa is reaching to that farmer who has cultivated potato. Don't you think something is wrong somewhere that needs to be fixed? So this way we got, when we say agriculture economics and related dimensions, industrial development and their significance. You should be knowing about industries, how they have grown up, what is this startup thing, how it is changing, what are their significance, service sector, how it performs, then inclusive growth. In fact, this topic, the dimensions of inclusive growth and sustainable developmental goals, SDG, every year at least one sure short question in mains. So agriculture and dimension of inclusive growth, giving you short questions in your mains. Then food security and public distribution system, because look, India is one of those countries having massive food security program. We are giving 67% of the population free grain, 5 kilogram per month per person. I am sure you are aware of it. That's called National Food Security Act. So 5 kilogram per person per grain to 67% of the population. Look at the quantum. You should be knowing that what we are doing, PDS system kaise kaam karta hai. Aapne bhi suna hoga, you might have heard of, how ration shops are there, how the foods are distributed. So the dimensions associated with that. What about poverty, how it's calculated? What about unemployment and how the employment, like India's problem is not just of employment. Don't take me wrong, but I think India's problem is also that of employability. Because you don't have that skill which is required for market. There are more, 70% of the graduates don't know how to make Excel sheets. What do you think? How they could be suitable to the job market? They don't know coding. These are requirement of the upcoming markets. Look, AI has come. So considering all these, in fact, this was last year's mains question, that India's employment problem is structural unemployment. Structural employment is where there's a mismatch between what skill you know and what skill market requires. Can't you see that they're asking basic things, but your application is required? Then infrastructure. This is again very important topic. Infrastructure, say railway, port, energy, and these kind of things. So in mains, infrastructure, poverty, food security, inclusive growth, agriculture. Out of these, at least 5 questions of mains from 8, 9, 5 questions belong to these areas. Don't you think there's a predictability that where to focus and be smart? I told you, I started the conversation with that. It's not about reading from here to there and n number of things. Read these topics carefully and develop your own mindset. As if you are the policy maker, if you had been manager, how you will make sure that whatever resources are available to get best outcome. So that's how we got what should be the syllabus. And these things are based on two resources: A, whatever UPSC is saying, and B, whatever previous question paper are indicating. On that basis, we can conclude that these are the things you should be considering while talking about what to read, what to avoid, and such like things. Making sense? I hope it's clear. Even there are some more topics which they are asking can be called as international economics, like what is balance of payment, what is the role of IMF, WTO, how World Bank works, what could be various heads of it. Again, you can see that questions has been asked in prelims and mains both. In prelims, 2-3 question might be asked from these topics, that whether you're knowing, like this year you can say in prelims there were many questions where economy and international relationships were overlapping. I don't want to call them economic question, that will be harsh on my end. But if I add them, this year economic question has gone up to 26 then. But I don't want to add them. I would like to be fair. I'll still say it was 15, 16 only. But then even, you should be aware of, आपको क्या लगता है, why suddenly, why Sri Lanka is so important for all of us, for us and China both. China has its own reason. If you know the global map, we can choke China at Strait of Malacca. China can choke us at northeast, what you call chicken corridor, chicken neck corridor. They have the position there. We have position here, that most of the China trade is via Strait of Malacca. And that's why Hambe Beta port is so important. Barely there are flights. श्रीलंका पोर्ट, वहां पे कोई एयरपोर्ट पे ना कोई फ्लाइट है ना कोई आता जाता है, फिर भी both the countries are fighting for that airport, because this way you can monitor the entire Indian Ocean. Don't you think this is more economic? We are developing Nicobar. I've been knowing that this parliament there was, that's where, if you know the thing, then you'll start enjoying the news. Okay, this is the news, this is what I should be considering. So when it comes to international thing, you should be aware of that, where India's opportunities are. Abhi, why Armenia is important? Why we are silent on Azerbaijan issue? Because we are selling Armenia Pinaka. India is now changing her gear. Instead of buying equipments and weapons, we want to sell it now. We have sold Pinaka to Armenia. Armenia and Azerbaijan are in the fighting situation. So हम तो अपने client का ध्यान रखेंगे ना. But obviously, we should be taking care of, at least should be silent on the other side. So that's why India's stand on Azerbaijan issue is very simple. We are trying to push up now. Abhi Russia gave what the deal we had made. BrahMos we are selling to Philippines. So we took that deal. Ki boss, we are going to use the technology together. So wherever your economic interests are wasted, because when you export more, you create more job back home. You create more job. आप चाइना ऐसे नहीं बन सकते. ये चाइना का बना हुआ है, ये चाइना का बना हुआ, ये चाइना का बना हुआ, ये कैमरा चाइना का बना हुआ, ये चाइना का बना हुआ, and you want to compete with China. This all has to be Indian. और उल्टा भी होना होगा. In China, these all has to be Indian. Making sense or not? Not only here it should be Indian, in China also it should be Indian. Then we can compete. Had not we shifted it here? Now iPhones are made in India. I have been knowing Bangalore. Foxconn is the assembly line for iPhones that has shifted to India. They are shifting gradually to India. Tesla has come to India. Boeing has come to India. Are you aware of it? Because in the world only two people are making aeroplanes. One is Boeing, another is Jet. Boeing has come to India now. So don't you think these questions has been asked on it? So this way, you should be knowing even internationally what is significant for Indian economy, what could be the dimensions, and so and so. So that is how we got when we talk about the dimensions of international economics. So this is the entire syllabus. In fact, I have gone quick, and I don't know whether you're pinning it, if you're not writing, and those who are online, even after the class, it will be uploaded so that you can take it at your comfort whenever you feel like, and you can take a note of it. Now, when it comes to, so I asked 5 questions now. First was syllabus. I hope that is clear to you. Second question is, what should be the source? As per sources are concerned, I'll say NCERT books are still the base. At least class 12th NCERT, that is macroeconomics, and class 11th NCERT, that is Indian economy. That is about Indian economy, how it grew, and so and so. Then there is one document called economic survey. Economic survey that is given by the government itself. Government provides one document that is called economic survey. You're not supposed to read the entire document, that will be very bulky, but at least brief of it. Whenever economic survey is issued, it comes one day before the budget. So all organizations, including even Vision, they provide you a brief synopsis of the entire document, that what are the major take homes that you can refer to. Even government also provides, just search economic survey PIB release. So Press Information Bureau of the government provides the briefing of the entire survey, that what the survey is, what the key points, what are the new terminologies that you should be at least aware of. Any standard book is up to you. Any stand, there's one book by Ramesh Singh, there's one book by Dattan Sundaram, then there is one book by you can say I'm missing his name. He wrote another book for art and science also. Nitin Singhania, yes. Nitin Singhania. So all the books are almost same because they all are Control C, Control P. Original book अब कोई नहीं लिखता, सब Control C चल रहा है. I've been listening Control C, Control P. So that is copy and paste, So naturally speaking, कोई भी book, any book is good book as long as it is at your disposal and you are feeling comfortable with it. किसी बुक को पढ़ने का, हर एक बुक का अपना तरीका होता है लिखने का. जो भी आपको लगता है, which book you think you are comfortable with, this is a good book. Ramesh Singh is also fine. In fact, Sanjeev Verma's book is also good. There's a book by Sanjeev Verma ji, who passed away though. That was also very good book about Indian economy. Either of it, you should feel comfortable with that book. That's it. But more than books, you should be reading current newspaper. Those who are not reading newspaper are actually missing something in this preparation. And newspaper may first 15-20 days will be your litmus test, because you will be barely understanding anything in the newspaper except political news. Political news तो समझ में आ जाती है because you are knowing a lot about it. But बाकी news में आपको you feel God knows where I am. 15-20 days you have to be there forcefully, and after that suddenly you will see it's like riding the cycle. अगर आपने कभी साइकिल चलाया है तो you might have seen 18-19 दिन 18-19 days you are trying to ride cycle and falling every day, and suddenly on 20th day you are so good at it. Each day has its contribution. Same is with the newspaper. 15-20 days it will be very boring, you feel like banging your head, but suddenly from 20th day you'll see that okay, fine, now I'm getting it, what exactly that, because things will start repeating. So newspaper, not reading newspaper is a mistake, not only in economy, I think in any subject. So that's where any standard book will, but yes, one book you must have, and I'm saying must have, that is compilation of previous year question paper. Any compilation will do, but I like one called Ghatna Chakra. Ghatna Chakra is in English also. So what they have done, let's say GDP. So in GDP, whatever question UPSC has asked in last 15 years, whatever question UPPCS has asked, Rajasthan has asked, Chhattisgarh has asked, various state examination has asked, they kept all the question at one place. So this way you got compilation of very good questions at one place. So you have done GDP, then do the reverse engineering. Understand reverse engineering? What is reverse engineering? You took the mobile, opened it, how it is made, and then reassembled it to make similar designs. That's called reverse engineering. So if you do the reverse engineering of your questions, why this question was asked, what was the answer, what were the other three, suddenly you will see that you got confidence in that topic. So read for 60% and 40% should be previous question paper. Do your GDP, whatever source you're following, book, class, whatever, and then solve questions. You will see that some 30-40% question you are solving. Reread it where you're missing. Again solve it. Suddenly you will jump to 70-80%. And reread it, and this time you are somewhere close to 85-90, and this is the standard proportion. Now that topic is yours. अब वो कुछ भी पूछेंगे आप उसमें जवाब दे पाओगे. In 80-90% questions, not all, but 80-90% question you can answer. This is what is authentic preparation, instead of just compiling the things here and there. So one thing you must have, and that is previous question paper, so that you can see what kind of question has been asked, how to answer them, and so. Making sense? So I think I answered now 2 of the questions. What should be resource? In fact, we have also discussed what should, so now 3 of them rather. So we have understood what is the resource, what is the syllabus, and what could be the approach in the examination. Now, another thing is how to handle current affairs. This is perhaps one of the most difficult thing I have seen among the students. Don't try to mug up everything you read. It's not possible. It's not possible, and it's not worth it either. Just be alert. You'll be surprised to know, and shayad aap meri baat mane bhi nahi. Most of you might have come by metro. This GTB Nagar metro station, as I come, I prefer metro because driving in Delhi is a civil war. So, in last 8 months, at least 3 such schemes were there. There were many schemes advertised by the government in metro. 3 of them were asked in this year's prelims examination. आप अलर्ट होते तो 3 क्वेश्चन तो मेट्रो करा रहा था आपका, और रोज देखते हैं आप उसको. That's why GS is how aware and alert you are. It's not about that how much of information. Pradhan Mantri Matrutva Bandhan was highlighted there. Shram Yogi was highlighted there, that this much of money will be given in this installment. No, so next time when you are going in metro, you will see the advertisement of the governments. Look at which ministry is giving this. Even Atal Tinkering Lab, Niti Ayog, that was advertised, and the question was Atal Tinkering Lab is being sponsored by Niti Ayog. So this way, just stay alert. But to stay alert, that's why I started with the source. Because if you know what to read, you should be knowing where to focus. So policies, programs of the government in newspaper and these kind of things, you should be, So handling current affairs is definitely one of the difficult tasks. Read newspaper, don't try to mug it up, just read it. And then you are having monthly magazines. Even Vision is also having a podcast, daily podcast. You can listen to that. There are monthly magazines called PT365 monthly magazine, and then finally, before the prelims, there will be one PT365, that is for 365 days, complete year. Similarly, we will have mains 365. So there are several sources, but trust me, I think all organizations are doing it. Ours is one well read, well received, but if you are not reading newspaper, then it's a technical mistake, despite the fact that you have such good compilation. Because it's not the compilation which matters, how much you can take out of it is which matters. कंपाइलेशन तो बहुत सारी चीज़ों का है. आप न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ेंगे तो फिर आपको करंट अफेयर्स मैगजीन में क्या लिखा हो और अच्छे समझ में आएगा. एंड दैट्स व्हाई for best part is read newspaper and forget about it. Then when the current affair magazine will come, then read it. Now you will get the idea, okay fine, this is the thing which I should be prioritizing in the examination. So that's how we got, when we say first is the podcast, second is the monthly magazine, 365 days, and as I told you, there are a brief of budget and economic survey that you should be referring to. So in short, again, if I have to say that it is not about economics. So don't get into rat race of buying books of Mikhail and, I can tell you a number of books. That's my subject. From, and go to the entire D school libraries full of that. And even from D school, Delhi School of Economics, I am knowing it at least, Delhi School of Economics, puri library economics ki hai. There are a number of, but that is not your requirement. Your requirement is very specific. Read NCERT thoroughly, 2-3 times, at least macroeconomics, get those terms clear, and then build up your concept, answer previous question paper, know the syllabus, read newspaper, and you'll see that you are increasing your chances. It is not academic pursuit. It's simple how organized, how smart, and how methodical you are. Right. One last thing before I wind up, I would like to talk about is, rather two of them, that why you should be solving previous question paper and how you should be solving it. Let's take an example. So say for example, this was the question asked in 2020. If you withdraw rupees 1 lakh in cash from your demand deposit account at your bank, the immediate effect on aggregate money supply. Now, this is a basic term. NCERT has talked about it. There's called one thing called money supply. Aggregate money supply is viewed in form of M1, M2, M3, M4. So they're asking about M3. Now, you should be knowing the NCERT has talked about it, that M3 is equal to demand deposits plus time deposits plus other deposits of RBI. Now, they are asking very simple question कि अगर किसी ने 1 लाख रुपीस निकाल लिया और वहां से यहां ट्रांसफर किया तो क्या इंपैक्ट आएगा. अब NCERT has written in formula format that aggregate money supply M3 is equal to demand deposit, time deposit and other deposits. That means जितने भी पैसे हैं वो सब आ रहे हैं उसमें. तो जाहिर सी बात है पैसा आप यहां से निकाल के यहां ले जाओ, यहां से निकाल के यहां ले जाओ, it will remain unchanged. And this was considered a difficult question. When it was asked to the student, they considered it difficult. Why? Because conceptual clarity पे ध्यान नहीं. NCERT ने इसका एग्जाम्पल दिया हुआ. सो अगेन जब आप ऐसे क्वेश्चन करते हो तो अंडरस्टैंड ओके NCERT को ऐसे भी देखना है. I should be at least knowing about. अच्छा, the best part of Ghatna Chakra is when they are answering this question, they are giving you the detail that what is money supply, what is M1, what is M2, M3, M4. So whatever we read in NCERT has been revised also. That's why I strongly said ये book आपके पास जरूर होनी चाहिए. Because वो सिर्फ क्वेश्चन का कंपाइलेशन है, उसके आंसर्स ऑलमोस्ट 95 to 98% राइट हैं. There could be one or two question, but that could happen anywhere. Something, 97% precision is very big. Similarly, if you see this way, there was a question asked with reference to Indian economy, demand pull inflation can be caused. इसमें से किसकी वजह से demand pull inflation? The inflation is of two types, demand pull and cost push. कोई भी चीज अगर मान लीजिए यहीं पे सडनली किसी चीज की डिमांड बढ़ जाए और चीजें उतनी हैं, let's say there are only 10 shirts and suddenly 20 people are going to buy, so won't you think price will increase? This is called demand pull. And 10 people are demanding 10 shirts, for any reason shirt is not reaching here, only 5 shirts have reached. This can be called as something kind of cost push, because shirt costing, logistics are getting expensive and so and so. Making sense? Now they have asked what is demand pull and what is not. Again, basic concept. If people are having more money, it will be demand pull. There's one thing called expansionary monetary policy. That means people are getting. आप मुझे बताओ नीचे there is a shopkeeper. अगर मैं अभी आपको सबको 500-500 रुपए दे दूं, ऐसा होने वाला नहीं है. If I'm giving, don't you think नीचे एकदम से डिमांड बढ़ जाएगी? You will immediately go and buy something. Maybe we'll take Coke. Somebody might buy book. Somebody might think of maybe purchasing a cloth. कुछ लोग थोड़ा दूर निकल जाएंगे कि और भी दुकानें हैं. Whatever. But suddenly the demand has increased. Demand pull inflation is there. This is what exactly we do in monetary policy. जब भी हमें लग रहा है इकोनॉमी स्लो पड़ रही है, we give easy money to the people, so that they are taking loan easily, so that they are buying the things and so. So very basic question whether you're knitting or not. Expansionary policy, हाँ, fiscal stimulus होगा. और अगर आप ध्यान से देखो, that kept the question easy, because if you know at least expansionary policy and fiscal stimulus is there, you could have eliminated the answer. So this clearly proves that yes, they want to know the term, they want you to, and these all are there in NCERTs. That's why I'm saying कि वो इसलिए मत सोचिएगा पतली सी किताब है तो उससे क्या होएगा. Each and every line is very significant out there. Or say for example the term West Texas Intermediate. In fact, we purchase petroleum oil from two sources. One is from Middle East and another is from Europe and Russia, USA also. So any petroleum which is coming from USA, Europe actually is little sweeter. अब स्वीट का मतलब टेस्ट में स्वीट नहीं होता, कॉन्सेंट्रेशन की बात हो रही. अनलाइक व्हाट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम सेंट्रल एशिया. सेंट्रल एशिया जो आता है उसको ब्रंट ऑयल बोलते हैं, और जो यहाँ से आता है उसको वेस्ट टेक्सास इंटरमीडिएट बोलते हैं. व्हाई द क्वेश्चन वाज आस्क्ड? बिकॉज वी वर ओपनिंग डील विद रशिया. और क्वेश्चन क्या पूछा? बेसिक सी बात है, वेस्ट टेक्सास इंटरमीडिएट क्या है, किससे जुड़ा हुआ है? क्रूड ऑयल. अब लोग रट रहे हैं कि हाँ ये नहीं. लुक एट द क्वेश्चन, सिंपल येट इफेक्टिव. करंट अफेयर है भी नहीं भी. सो दिस वे यू शुड बी जस्ट अलर्ट कि व्हाट इज हैपनिंग अराउंड यू. और ये न्यूज़पेपर से आएगा. So you should be knowing, in fact petroleum is one of the very important products. आप दिन की शुरुआत कैसे करते हो? Pasting your teeth. When your toothpastes are having petroleum, chewing gums are having petroleum. Petroleum से diesel और petrol में नहीं होता. Most of our eatable items which are packaged are having petroleum. So naturally demand, वहाँ पे हम इसका यूज ज्यादा करते हैं, इस तरह के जो थोड़ा लाइटर वेट के होते हैं. सो वेस्ट टेक्सास इंटरमीडिएट क्या है? अब इससे क्या होता है, इससे आप यू विल अंडरस्टैंड, अच्छा पेट्रोलियम है, एनर्जी है, कुछ भी इंपॉर्टेंट है, यू शुड कीप एन आई. जैसे अभी आप देख रहे हो एनर्जी को लेकर, सोलर प्लांट्स को लेकर बहुत सारी बातें हो रही हैं. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट हाइड्रोजन एनर्जी. सो यू शुड कीप एन आई कि वेयर आर द रिसोर्सेज. लिथियम कहाँ कहाँ है? You know, lithium is maximally found in Latin America, what is called ABC triangle, Argentina, Bolivia triangle, right? So at least this way, अब ये क्वेश्चन समझने से समझ में आया, क्योंकि एनर्जी हमारी सबसे बड़ी रिक्वायरमेंट है. हमारी प्रॉब्लम क्या है इंडिया की? वी आर सो डिपेंडेंट ऑन फॉसिल फ्यूल. और उनको जुकाम होता है, वो छींकते हमें जुकाम हो जाता है. इफ समथिंग गोज रॉन्ग इन द रेड सी, देखिए रेड सी पे 2 क्वेश्चन थे इस बार प्रीलिम्स में, क्योंकि अगर वहां पे कुछ झगड़ा हो रहा है, स्टेट ऑफ हमरूज में कुछ हो रहा है, रेड सी में कुछ हो रहा है, इजराइल लड़ रहा है, तो हम उसकी कीमत चुका रहे हैं. वी हैव टू कीप आवर पेट्रोलियम ऑयल रिजर्व, क्योंकि कब गड़बड़ हो जाए. डू यू नो वी हैव एंटिसिपेशन इन द नेक्स्ट फ्यू मंथ्स, अगर ऐसे ही चला तो पेट्रोलियम प्राइसेस विल इंक्रीज बाय 30-40%. एंड सी वेयर इकोनॉमी विल बी देन. लुक एट द इन्फ्लेशन, वेयर विल इट विल बी. आवर हैंड्स विल बी टाइट. तो इस सब से निपटारा कहाँ है? इफ वी गेट समवेयर our own energy. That's why we are talking about solar energy. That's why we are talking about other alternatives. So once you understand कि ये question पूछा है, energy is important for us. Any news from energy is important for us. ये फायदा होता है previous question paper करने. Suddenly you start feeling these are the things I should be focusing upon. जैसे मैंने भी आपको बताया कि हाँ you should be looking at metro. अब आप पक्का देखो, I'm sure एक आध बार नजर जरूर जाएगी कि which is the scheme, which ministry has done, and so वो previous question papers, that's why many of the selected candidate, I think 2021 topper, he used a very good term. He said questions are GPS. Previous question paper are GPS, telling you in which direction to go, किस direction में जाना है. So that is how the things are. Similarly, there was a question, let's say in mains, what is potential GDP and explain its determinants. So you should be at least aware of that. What is GDP components and so and so. What are the main constraints in transport and marketing of the agriculture produce? Because agriculture, we are cultivating a lot, but we are not having proper storage. We are not having proper market. Here you might be still giving 100 rupees, 200 rupees for those agriculture produce per kilo, but farmers are not getting even 20, 30 rupees for it. Logistics is the problem. Onion is expensive in Delhi and is getting wasted and rotten in Maharashtra because we don't have proper passage. That's why dedicated freight corridor. I don't know whether you have noticed it or not. If you ever go towards Agra, you might have noticed from Greater Noida to Maharashtra Jawaharlal Nehru Port, we are having now dedicated railway track where only logistics will take care of. उस पर सिर्फ माल जाएगा, सामान जाएगा, ये सवारी नहीं जाएगी. So we got both the sides, up and down, both dedicated freight corridors, so that things can move from one place to another easily. So agriculture produce को लेके क्या challenges हैं? Let's say they're asking what are the challenges of food processing sector. So can you see that looking into these kind of questions of prelims, and these are asked questions. By looking into these questions, by solving these questions, you can better understand where to focus, in which direction to focus, and so and so. So that's why you should be doing the previous question paper. Not doing previous question paper and not reading newspaper is a technical fault. Most of the students are doing this mistake, that they are just into the compilation process. ये भी पढ़ ले, ये भी पढ़ ले, ये भी पढ़ ले, ये भी पढ़ ले. कितना याद रखोगे? And you know what? Your brain is smarter than what you think. It deletes from the memory all those things which are garbage. It only remains those things which is having some rationale. अगर उसका rationale नहीं होगा, दिमाग अपने पास नहीं रखेगा, उसको delete कर देगा immediately. So आपको rationale पता होना चाहिए कि why I should remember it, what should be the dimensions where I should focus upon it. और वो previous question paper समझ में आने लगता है कि हाँ, this is the thing. where I should be focusing upon. So in the beginning, I said 5 questions. What should be source? What should be syllabus? Because these are the concerns. Then whether you should be solving previous year question paper or not. The last thing I would like to talk about is significance of notes. I know this is something which is not that much important, but yes, significant for you in a way, because you know what, it doesn't matter what you have read. Abhi main aapse 10 names, if I let's say 10 names I'm giving, from Amitabh Bachchan, Sachin Tendulkar, MS Dhoni, Rishabh Pant, Rohit Sharma, Shah Rukh Khan, say I'm giving 10-15 names, and then I'll say, okay, pen down the name you can memorize. जो आपको ध्यान आ रहा है उसमें से नाम लिखिए. तो मोस्ट प्रोबेबली आप 2-3 नाम लिखोगे. पहला जो सबसे पहला नाम था वो आपको ध्यान रहेगा, जो सबसे आखिरी नाम है वो ध्यान रहेगा. द फर्स्ट यू विल रिमेंबर, द लास्ट यू विल रिमेंबर, एंड इन बिटवीन दोज हु आर वेरी क्लोज टू यू. फॉर सम इट माइट बी धोनी, फॉर सम इट माइट बी रोहित, फॉर सम इट माइट बी अमिताभ बच्चन, शाहरुख खान. दिस वन थिंग कॉल्ड रिसेंसी इफेक्ट. जो हमने लास्ट में पढ़ा हो तो सबसे ज्यादा याद आता है. एग्जाम के 2 महीने पहले आपने क्या पढ़ा है, दैट मैटर्स इट ऑल. उससे पहले जो आपने पढ़ा होगा, एग्जाम वाले दिन यू विल बी गेटिंग कंफ्यूज्ड. पढ़ा तो था कुछ कुछ, बट एग्जैक्टली क्या ध्यान नहीं आ रहा. तो 2 विल बी एलिमिनेटेड. आउट ऑफ 4 ऑप्शंस 2 विल बी एलिमिनेटेड. 2 में आप फंस जाओगे कि ये हो सकता था, ये भी हो सकता था, एंड यू आर टॉसिंग नाउ. एंड टॉस इज हैविंग प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ 50-50%. 50-50. आई एम नॉट मिनिमाइजिंग योर थिंग. होना क्या चाहिए? Let's say you discussed about GDP. I often advise, and this is what I have found in the selected candidates, क्योंकि उनमें सब में common था. So let's say you talked about GDP. So you wrote somewhere na GDP. Keep certain space available on the left or right side. So GDP you discussed, you wrote about it. Maybe you some additional book you read and wrote about it. Now tomorrow you're reading any information about GDP in the current affair magazine or in newspaper. Come to this topic where the space is left at the point, so that when you're revising this chapter, that point is also revised. This way you can reduce your effort and can increase your output. Making sense? In fact, I hope I'm sounding logical. Don't trust it because I'm saying it. So इससे एक फायदा क्या होगा, आपकी सारी चीजें, या मान लीजिए you are solving a question somewhere and you got something, you can add it here. इससे 2 फायदे. एक तो ये, you will write the current affair here, and second advantage is you have very less space, so you will start learn how to write in few words. आपको खुद दिखने लगा, अरे मैं तो फ्लो चार्ट बना रहा हूँ, किसी ने समझाया नहीं था मुझे. I don't believe कि do it artificially. In this examination also you have 150 words. Words बहुत कम है, space बहुत कम है, खुद फ्लो चार्ट बनने लगता है. Your brain is way more logical than what you think. आपको इतनी सी जगह मिल रही है, उसमें लिखना है न्यूज को, आपको एकाएक दिखने लगता है व्हाट इज मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट इन दिस, और वही चीज आपके वहां काम आती है इन द करंट अफेयर्स. नॉट द एंटायर करंट अफेयर, द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. सो ग्रेजुअली यू योरसेल्फ विल स्टार्ट फीलिंग दीज थिंग्स आर देयर. सो एंड योर नोट विल बी, एंड बिफोर प्रीलिम्स यू शुड बी रीडिंग ओनली दिस नोट, नथिंग एल्स. सिर्फ इसी को पढ़ना और कुछ नहीं पढ़ना. और जितना आप इसको रिवाइज करते हो उतने. इसलिए आप देखो जितने भी सिलेक्टेड कैंडिडेट हैं, ये तो जाहिर सी बात है ना कि द मोमेंट दे गॉट सिलेक्टेड, वेरी नेक्स्ट डे दे मेक देयर नोट पब्लिक. तो रात में बैठ के तो नोट्स नहीं बना होगा, पहले ही बना होगा. एंड मोस्ट ऑफ देम हैव दिस थिंग कॉमन. हाँ, सम पीपल डू, दे ऐड स्टिकर समटाइम, दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. आई बिलीव बेटर यू लीव दिस स्पेस. स्टिकर में बियर एंड टियर कॉस्ट है कि कभी हट गया वहां से या कुछ नहीं ध्यान आया, isn't it? You should be keeping this space and writing it there. Or by the time your preparation is over and prelims are round the corner, ये पूरा भर जाना चाहिए. नहीं भरा तो भी मिसिंग है कुछ. इतनी न्यूज तो आ ही गई हुई कि एक पेज भर जाए साइड में. So this way, you should be making your, this is what is just a piece of advice, because I have seen that very good students, they could not organize their thoughts. इससे आपको क्या लग रहा है मैं एक्सटेम्पोर हूं? आई एम वेरी ऑर्गेनाइज. मैं क्वेश्चन बोल रहा हूँ नंबर 1, नंबर 2, नंबर 3, बिकॉज आई हैव ऑर्गेनाइज द थिंग्स. ये बातें करनी है. जितने आप ऑर्गेनाइज हो तो उतने आप कम समय में कैन से अ लॉट. सो दीज आर द थिंग्स. सो दैट्स व्हाई आई से दिस इज कॉल्ड रिसेंसी इफेक्ट इन साइकोलॉजी. recency effect means जो आपको last में पढ़ते हो ज़्यादा याद रहता है. So focus on your recency effect, organize your revision, maximum utilization of the resources, and helps in avoiding unnecessary compilation of the information. कि आप current affair बेमतलब करट रहे हो. So that's why I think you should be making notes this way. So these are a few things that you should be considering when it comes to Indian economy. And please, Indian economy is not about data. It is not about economics and the Keynesian and game theory and the theory of, Ricardo. Don't step into that. If someone is talking about, say, all the best, very good, Wasser. Obviously, why don't give advices unnecessarily? But you should be knowing this is of no use. In fact, in last 5 years, barely any data has been asked in your prelims. Barely. In mains, you can use some of the data. I'm not denying it. But in prelims, barely any data was asked. Data is not important. What is important is your understanding, whether you're getting the things or not. So that is how you should be approaching when it comes to prelims. I hope I'm keeping it short. So this was about whatever Indian economy and dimensions are. And I really hope this session was productive for you. Thank you.